Hey, it's Jordan. I am here in Flint, Michigan. We've been here for a few days now, and we're here because we're following up on a major story we just broke a few days ago. And this is a story of old school knocking on doors. So over the summer, we knocked on over 400 doors in Flint because we were told that the lead testing, obviously major lead crisis here over the last few years, we were told that there might have been some improper testing done where state officials had gone into residents' homes, let the water in their kitchen sink, their bathroom sink, several areas they tested for lead, let the water run, in some cases we were told for 10 to 15 minutes, and then put the sample bottle in there to collect the water sample. You might not know that, but that's actually against the EPA's regulations, because if you let the water run, even for 30 seconds, you're basically flushing out potentially large quantities of lead, which would then give you a lower reading of lead, and then your average reading for the entire city that you are using to declare the water back to normal, or the quality back to normal, and that seems to be what happened here. So we knocked on over 400 doors. We found 31 homes that had illegal flushing go on. Many of those homes were actually had State of Michigan Department of Environmental Quality officials come to their home, run the water for several minutes, as well as Flint residents that were on a program called the CORE program. Those residents were actually trained by the environmental agency on how to do this. They were supposed to go around, make sure residents had water filters on their sinks, make sure they had the resources they need, and in some cases they did the testing as well. So in English, to dumb it down for you, we found evidence that the state had sent officials into people's homes, intentionally tested the wrong way to get a lower level. This gentleman, Fredrick Quincy Jones, you were one of those homes that they had come into. According to you, for 2 to 3 minutes, I believe, they ran your water. You, it seemed, unlike others, because most people aren't educated on the rules, you actually knew that the way they were doing it was wrong. So tell me about your background and what exactly happened.
Okay, once again, I'd like to
take that mic.
I'd like to thank you very much for coming back for round number 2 inside of my home. It's very imperative that, the population here in Flint should be well informed about the inconsistencies that have been performed inside of their home in order to satisfy the improper readings that the city wanted to release. It wasn't just 3 minutes. Sometimes it was up to 5 minutes, and they came back many times just to knock on my door. It seemed as though every week they were coming by to retest. And I was wondering why my particular, site was chosen. I said, to them, I advised them to go across the street and knock on someone else's doors. Come to find out that my home was targeted, primarily just to say that I was fitting a certain criteria. I was an African-American male living here in the inner city. All right, and I should have been unaware of the tactics that were being used to reach the type of climate in which the city of Flint wanted to satisfy. Unfortunately, I'm the type of person I'm going to ask questions. And when the core persons did not or could not give me any valid reasons why they were letting my water run, sometimes up to 5 minutes before they took a sample, I can understand that they were only told just to act in certain ways. And I understand that, but then I questioned them. I said, well, who is your supervisor? Who sent you here? Unfortunately, they weren't able to give me their names, or would not give me their names, because they didn't want to lose the paychecks and what they were receiving just for that period of time. Next question.
Mm-hmm. So to be clear, you were on the state Sentinel program, and that was the program that was essentially the focus group of homes. These are the homes that the state continually tested, and they used these homes to say they were satisfying, or Flint was again meeting EPA regulations for lead. The EPA regulation for lead is 15 parts per billion. So they were saying that Flint's lead levels are improving, and what they were doing was basically sending either environmental agency officials or these core program workers into homes like Fred, letting the water run, which the EPA itself has told us that this artificially lowers the lead level, and then using that very doctor data. Again, that's not a real test. The test, the way it's supposed to be done, the water stays stagnant and not used for 6 hours, and then you turn the water on, right away you put the sample bottle in. So essentially, for all you know, the continual tests they were doing, there's really no way to know what the accurate reading of your lead was.
Well, you're absolutely correct, Jordan. The validity was totally improper, as we know. But also, it was improper that the persons who were in charge of meeting these requirements were not, should I say, they were not truthful in their endeavor to actually stop the madness of what was going on here in the city of Flint. You know, it's something when we have people who we elect, they take an oath, and then the oath is not satisfied because, unfortunately, they weren't capable of following through on that oath for whatever reasons we don't know. Now, this is not a political matter. It's a matter of health and welfare of the community that you said that you were here to serve. Now, where they are right now, I don't know. How they were able to evade their commitment, I don't know. But this is what is so, should I say, critical right now, is that you cannot trust the officials who are here to serve and also to protect the general population of Flint.
And in response to all these homes where I found that they went in, they flushed, and in some cases they didn't go in and flush, but they gave the residents the directions to do it. The state and the environmental agency basically told me that the residents, they're confused about which agencies came into their home, what kind of tests were done in their home, and all these things. Well, we confirmed your home, these other homes were actually on something called the Sentinel program. The Sentinel program was essentially the state's flagship program. It started out with 650 homes, and these were the homes that would be continually tested. In some cases, they were tested for 2 years consistently to see if the levels were improving. And those were the homes that the state of Michigan used to say Flint is again meeting the EPA regulations. So the state basically said to me that residents must be confused or not know which officials were in their home or what kind of testing. Are you confused? What kind of testing was done?
Well, let me share this with you. I'm not confused. The fact is our questions were not being answered. We faced brick walls at each and every step during this process because no names were given, no offices that you can contact or phone numbers were given, and it was a brush off more so than anything else. Because even in the event that they could not come into our particular homes to take these erroneous tests, they were leaving containers, okay, with instructions and where to turn them into, or they would come by and pick them back up, or take them to the post office. And that was a convenient location to return the samples. So, like I said, we are not confused. This is a matter of trying to confuse us. And also it's a matter of our officials being totally irresponsible about what they should have done.
And you are somebody who knew the rules of the testing because you in the Navy.
That is correct.
Could you explain how you knew that they were doing it the wrong way?
Well, some years back, I served approximately 23 years in the Navy. And one of my chores, or excuse me, responsibility was to ensure that certain conditions were met when it came to, EPA standards. Now, even though I've been out over 25 years, there are certain criteria that you'll never forget. You know, there's certain routine, there's certain steps that you must take that you never forget. I mean, it's ingrained inside of me. So when you ask questions, knowing that what they're doing and how they're performing the tests are completely wrong, you know this, but then, like I said, once again, these persons, we talk about these persons who are being sent in our homes are at the lowest possible denominator. They are doing what they are told to do in order to receive a paycheck. That's all.